Every big business out there started with just an idea. But here's the real question. How do you know if your idea is just a good idea or if it's actually a great business? Well, today, we're going to dive into that critical first step, figuring out if your brilliant concept has what it takes to actually succeed.
Come on, we've all been there, right? You get that spark, that aha moment that just feels like $1,000,000. But then the doubt starts to creep in. How can you really be sure it's going to work? Is this just a fun passion project or is it a truly viable business?
Well, guess what? There's a tool designed for exactly this. It's called a feasibility analysis. Now think of it like a pre-flight check for your business. It's this structured way to stress test your whole concept before you go and invest your life savings and, 1,000,000 hours of your time.
Okay, so let's get right to it and start our pre-flight check. We're going to walk through the essential steps to make sure your business idea is absolutely cleared for takeoff.
This flowchart you see here, this is going to be our roadmap. It basically lays out the entire journey, right from your initial idea, through all these critical checks we're about to talk about, all the way to that final decision. Do we go ahead with the business plan, or is it back to the drawing board?
So the heart of this whole thing, it really boils down to these 4 key areas. We've got to look at the product itself, then the market it's going to live in, the team you have to build it, and of course, whether the numbers actually add up.
So, where do we start? First up, we look outward. The very first part of our analysis is all about the external stuff, your product and the industry you're thinking about jumping into.
It's really a 2-part question here. First, product feasibility. At the most basic level, do people actually want what you're selling? And then second, industry and market feasibility. Is the whole industry a good place for a new business to be right now?
So before you do anything else, you have to pass a simple gut check. Ask yourself, does this idea solve a real problem for someone? Is it something people are going to get genuinely excited about? Or is there some big, obvious, fatal flaw that you might be totally overlooking because you're so close to it?
Okay, let's make this real. Here's part of what's called a concept statement for an imaginary company, New Venture Fitness Drinks. A concept statement is just a quick, 1-page summary you can show people to get their feedback. This first part, it just lays out the basics, natural fitness drinks, and who they're for. Sports enthusiasts.
But check this out. This is the unique feature, the thing that sets them apart. This isn't just another juice bar. They plan to actually videotape local high school games and replay the highlights in the store. Now that creates a really powerful why that goes way beyond just selling a drink. And finally, the statement gives a quick intro to the founders. And notice their experience. One's from a big national restaurant chain, the other is a CPA. Now, keep that in mind, because in just a few minutes, we're going to see exactly why the team is so incredibly important.
Okay, so your concept feels like a winner, but will people actually pay for it? To figure out the demand, you've got to get beyond just guessing. It's really a 3-step process. Actually talking to potential customers to get honest feedback, using online tools to gather data, and doing some good old-fashioned detective work.
All right, now let's zoom out a bit and look at the bigger picture, the industry. The truth is, some industries are just way more attractive for a new business. The sweet spot is often a young, growing market that isn't already dominated by a couple of huge players.
Okay, we've looked outward at the product and the market. Now it is time to turn inward and take a really hard look at your own capabilities and your resources. And this internal check, it also has 2 parts. First, organizational feasibility. This asks, do we have the right team and the right resources? And then, financial feasibility gets to the bottom line. Does the money side of this actually make sense? Here's a crucial point. A great idea is just not enough. It's not. Investors, they bet on people. So you have to be really honest with yourself and ask if your team has the passion, the expertise, and just the grit to get through all the challenges of launching something new.
And it's about so much more than just the founders. Resource sufficiency means looking at all the other critical, non-financial pieces you need. Can you find an affordable space? Can you protect your intellectual property? Do you have the right partnerships lined up?
And now, the money. Look, this isn't a full-blown financial forecast yet, but it is an absolutely crucial high-level check. You need to ask some really tough questions, like what's a realistic guess for startup costs? How do other businesses like this one perform? And at the end of the day, does this thing have the potential to be financially attractive?
So, you've done the work. You've gone through all 4 areas, product, market, organizational, and financial. Now you have the data you need to finally make an informed decision. So let's go back to our roadmap one last time. We've navigated all 4 of those feasibility tracks, and now we're at the final fork in the road. Getting a yes in all 4 areas points you one way, but getting a no in any one of them, well, that sends you down a very different path. But here's the thing. The result isn't always a simple go or no-go. A feasibility analysis might tell you to proceed full steam ahead, or it might uncover a problem that means you need to pivot your idea a little bit. And sometimes it just tells you to pause. The idea might be great, but maybe right now just isn't the right time.
What this whole framework does is transform that raw passion you have into a practical plan. It gives you the confidence to move forward or the wisdom to step back and rethink. So, the only question left is your big idea ready for its stress test?